Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Architecture George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Last Argument of Kings, the third book in the original trilogy, and for this episode, we'll be covering Bad Debts and A Ragged Multitude. So, let's get started. As usual, we need to thank everyone, right, guys, for the continued support. Harrison, you're back from Disney World. Why don't you talk a little bit about your quick experience there?
Oh yes, we have become a amusement park reviewers as well in our off time. Disney World, you feel like you're just a cog in the machine, and you're like, man, I really shouldn't be spending this money. Man, I really shouldn't be supporting Disney. Mm-hmm. But damn, is it fun?
Damn, is it fun?
It was a good time, especially if you go with family, and if you are blessed enough to be able to splurge at Disney World, it can be a hell of a time.
If only there were a First Law themed Disneyland.
I'm working on it, George.
He's doing the best he can.
The Bloody Nun is like a horror house.
The second you walk in, you get dismembered.
Like, legitimately. You go to the house of the maker. You get lost in it, you never come out.
If you go in with two kids, you at least leave one behind. Oh, God. Anyway, well, thank you for that. And again, thank you, the fans, the people, for all
so much
of your support. Yeah, thank you. So let's move on over. Since we're doing two chapters, let's start off with our first segment, Best Meme of the Week. Georgie boy, take it away.
And we have one of our best friends on this page, which we talk to very often. And if anybody wants to get in this little chat, by the way, send us your Discord, and we'll get you in on this little First Law chat that we've got going on.
So we can be besties.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Also, but the criteria is that you have to, of course, ask a question. That way we can talk about it on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Either be a guest or send us an email or something. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way. We need to encourage more interaction. We've had loads so far. We've had loads of people talking to us, and we've had loads of really good questions and people just interacting. And one time, I think me and Harrison answered a question at exactly the same time on a chat that somebody sent us, and that is, and he literally said, "This is exactly what you guys do in the podcast, so this is wonderful." I love that. I love that kind of fucking interaction. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it was great to hear too. There was a guy on YouTube who said a very nice comment, and he said that he was recommended by Audible, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But, we get sweet messages every now and then, and they are awesome. So if you wanted to send a sweet message and want to join the Discord, that's fine too. If you just want to chat with other people who are interested in the First Law on a more kind of a personal level.
Exactly. Just get in contact with us. No matter who you are, if you're listening and you hear these words, send us a message, and we'll get back at you.
Shoot for the stars.
Exactly.
Yep.
So this meme of the week is our friend the Bloody Niner, and it's Baez passes you a joint. Do you accept? And that is the existential question. Would you? Would you, Jeff?
Yeah, I would.
You would, Harrison?
I feel like if I didn't, like especially if he's looking at me the way he does in the meme,
he's gonna blow you up.
Yeah, he's gonna blow you up.
He'd be like, "Smoke it, you imbecile!"
Or you could always beg off and just be like, "Listen, I like to drink more. I like to drink instead of just smoking weed," which that's basically my MO.
Actually, if you said that, he'd probably be like, "An understandable preference."
Holy shit! Do you think that's what's in his tea?
I bet
he's just wasted the whole series.
Well, nobody else drinks tea. It's just him. He's just there getting fucking. You've been alive for 3,000 years, wouldn't you?
You think Soulport is just like making Long Island iced teas? He's like, please call me a mixologist.
Never any peace, eh?
He's fucking swaying.
Baez found him in a tavern and was like, "Come on, you'll be my apprentice."
He's like, he probably went to a bar and was like, "Man, that's mean Island, Long Island iced tea.
That's
You
what I'm
want to,
saying.
you
That's
want
what
to
I'm
make
saying.
it for me for the rest of your life?"
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
All
all
right.
right.
Well, thank you, George. Thank you for that meme.
Thank you, Bloody Niner, for that meme. Thank you very much.
An enjoyable one. So we'll move on to our first chapter read through, which is Bad Debts. And this one, George, I know you love these like little letters. I know before it's the Arch Lecter and Glockta. I mean, if you want to take this over real quick, though, feel free.
I love this voice that he does. This on the audio narration from Stephen Pacey. It's just the perfect mix of naivety and just incompetence. It's like, Superior Glockta, though I believe that we have never been formally introduced, I have heard your name mentioned often these past few weeks. Without causing offense, I hope it seems that every room I enter has you recently left. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And it's just this wheedling little obvious ploy to get him into this situation. And Glockta's obviously aware of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the letter is obviously from Harlan Morrow,
Yeah.
the gentleman that's been Glockta's mirror, we can say, for the last couple chapters, right?
Well, we can say that, or we can say that he's been a minor annoyance.
Yeah, minor annoyance. I just mean like mirror in the sense that they're both, wheeling and dealing in terms of like the whole upcoming election.
Yeah, well, from an outside point of view, right? That they are like, two sides of the same coin. They're the enemies. They're the right hand guys of their bosses or whatever. But as we see here, and even just in the letter, Morrow is not on the same level that Glockta is.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the contents of the letter is that Morrow invites Glockta to meet somewhere to discuss resolution to the situation where they keep either running and not running into each other, but like if Glockta is going into a room, Morrow had just left it, or Morrow's due to make
Yeah, they're
using
both
that same
after the same kind of political targets.
right. Exactly. And so they're like, oh, so Morrow's offering to come to some kind of resolution, but he wants Glockta to meet him at the slaughterhouse. Wink, wink.
Yeah,
And like,
exactly. I mean, and it comes up later in this chapter, so it's not a spoiler, but it
yeah,
is so obvious, and Morrow is obviously just a fucking imbecile.
just just a moron. So, so basically, Glockta meets Morrow, and he's like, "What's up? How can I help you?" And I like how Morrow.
He starts monologuing.
He starts monologuing, and Glockta's inner monologue is like, "Oh, good God, anything but the life story."
I love, and I like you were doing a perfect impression of it, George. But like with Pacey's voice too, compared to Glockter's like Morrow's is like wheedling, right? Like oh, of course, I
Yeah.
I respect a man of your caliber to such a degree that like it's so breathy and shit. Like it's very unique and it's super annoying.
I love the way he's like, it's a shame you won't be leaving this place.
But
And then
Glockter,
Glock's just like, oh god, this is so obvious. I can't even believe you attempted this shit. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Morris is like, what? Well, I have, and he just kind of brandishes, and this thug comes out walking from the shadows, and it's just like,
Two of them. There's two of them
okay,
there.
yeah, two thugs, yeah.
Yeah, two thugs approaching from
But
different
I've got
directions.
two thugs with crossbows.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Glock he basically catches on to what's gonna happen. He's like, oh, because pigs eat anything. Okay, Bricktop from what was it, Snatch? Okay, we get it. And
Oh
then
yeah,
yeah, and then
we can do that whole monologue right now.
yeah, that's a great monologue. See,
By the
that's
way, that is the reason why, like, 8 months ago, when we did that fucking poll on Reddit about the best director for the series,
mm-hmm.
I said Guy Ritchie just
just,
because of this scene.
just because of that monologue.
Yeah, because it's exactly the same. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Jesus Christ.
And Joe Abercrombie is a movie fan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So
worked on screenplays. Yeah,
you never know. You might have got it. You never know.
never. You know what? You never know. You never know. But
The-
point being, point being is that Glockta basically is shitting on his parade. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna slaughter me at the slaughter. Oh, good for you, buddy." and and then Morrow's kind of like, he's upset. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad you appreciate what's gonna happen, I guess." and then Glockta's like, "Yep, yeah. I mean, it's obvious that it's. I almost didn't expect it, but not expecting it and not planning for it are two different things." And then right here, timing perfectly, right? Severard crossbows is one dude, just shoots him in the liver, and Vitari is just strangling this one dude with that chain of hers. And then Frost just comes back up to mop up that first guy, and that's pretty much it. And then Morrow's just kind of confused.
I'm kind of wondering what is going through the heads of these guys when they take these jobs.
The henchman,
They're just in all the fantasy and like fiction in general. There just seems to be an endless supply of thugs that are just willing to
do
walk
anything.
into a slaughterhouse and murder a cripple.
Yeah, I mean,
You know that those guys have kids. Maybe
they have kids, they have families.
well, I mean, yeah, but like these guys, they might, but they also like got hired. So I mean, they were paid to do it. They know it's a dangerous profession. They said, Moreau surely was like, we're gonna go kill this guy. He didn't tell them we're
When's
gonna go kill an
Joe,
inquisitor.
Joe Abercrombie? When is the spin-off about this one guy that didn't know what was going on in that warehouse?
I like the interaction that like Frost and Deborah had. They're always so casual anytime like they go kill people or do something like thuggish. He's always like, I owe you 5 marks, he called to Frost. Missed his heart. Damn it. Liver maybe? Liver.
Yeah. And then right before, I like what the part where Morrow's basically pleading for his life. Glockta it says, "I'm not upset you tried to kill me, but the fact you did such a shitty job at it is just it's offensive."
I'm hurt.
Into the pig pen you go.
Wounded, and then Frost says, "Deeply offended."
I love
There's
how he carries that on, like all the way through the first 3 books.
Yeah,
All of his practicals just echo everything that he's saying in these scenes.
yeah.
I would love. We were talking about like making maybe some merch at some point, and like a little like Chibi Frost, deeply offended would be a perfect line to put on it.
Vote now on your phones. Would you like to buy a T-shirt with a Chibi Frost saying "deeply offended" in a big speech bubble?
Oh god.
If you would, then we would put that on some website and you can buy it. So
Yeah,
send
we'll
us
do
an email if you would like that.
We'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We will do it.
Jeff's like,
Even if it's at a loss or we break even, we'll still do it. Hell, we pay for this. We
Oh
pay
my
for
God.
this podcast.
Damn it, George, you're giving
I
away
mean,
too
it's
much.
like $3 a month, but we still pay for it.
George, put down the Smirnoff ices.
I'm just putting it out there. Smirnoff Ice. What are you, 15?
I don't know. I'm just saying to you, man. Jesus.
So I liked it, George. It's a good idea.
But anyway, okay. So Severard stabs. He stabs Marlowe in the neck from behind. Boom, dead. Glockta's like, God, Jesus, blood's all over my pants. Whatever. And then he lets the practicals know that the fellowship is back in town. Well, not the full fellowship, but Baez, Pharaoh, Quai, and so wants to start keeping eyes around them and everything. And he double checks with Severard if he still has that house by the docks that he had in, I believe, the first book, right?
Yeah.
So we might
In
need.
the house by the dogs.
A little reminder that it's there.
Yep. And so okay, time jump a little break, and Glockta is walking down the street, and somebody says, "Hey, are you Glockta?" And he goes, "Huh? Who are you?" And then here he gets black bagged. Now this was well done, unlike what we just experienced with Morrow. He gets black bagged and he gets transported to this unknown location. And he's seated at a table. They take the black bag off. He's adjusting. His vision is adjusting to the darkness, or the lack of dark, all that. And who's in front of him? Lo and behold, Carla Dan Eider. She has made a return, and
In the
she,
most threatening way possible.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, this is the last person that he wants to see, right? Apart from Archlector Salt.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
for the same reasons, though, right? I feel like it's a little bit different.
I
Yeah,
mean, the way that he interprets it, though, she's holding those scissors perfectly, like, shaped for clipping off skin.
mm-hmm.
And that's the first way he thinks about it. He's like, oh shit, I'm going to get tortured.
Yep. Do you think that though that's because of who he is, and he immediately goes to torture?
Oh, 100%.
Or do you
100%.
think?
It's fight or flight,
Yeah.
isn't it? This is fight or flight.
He's like, this is what I would do.
Yeah, but I think he thinks, he's just like, okay, I told her to not show up, and she's showing up because this could cause a problem. I guess he did save her life, so her safety, but also B, really, what's it about? Like any evidence of, Glockta, getting up to some
Yeah, and
shit.
also he's the first reason why she was actually deposed in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's quite understandably afraid.
I do. Well, I don't know because
I don't know about
to be
afraid.
honest,
I think he's like, fuck.
I think he's a bit more. I think you're right, George, that he's a bit more on edge for sure because but I think it's more because it's unpredictable. He didn't expect her to be here. So like normally, like even in his little inner monologue, he was like, "All right, who's it gonna be this time? Is it Salt coming to figure out because I took money from the bank, or is it Morovia because he's had enough and found out I get rid of his dog, and then it's something unexpected." So I almost feel like he's just more caught off guard. I think he is afraid, but not afraid as much for his life, but more afraid of the unpredictability of her. Because now he's like, oh shit.
He's understood, and he's probably thought through these things 1,000 times. Of like, what if these guys get me? What if the Valiant Bolt get me? What if Salt gets me? What if the Gurkish get me again? But when he sees somebody that he doesn't know, it's just completely outside of his realm of like, comprehension.
Which is interesting because you're right. He is showing fear, but not fear for his life. Fear for him not knowing, which is his bigger fear.
Yes.
Yeah, and basically,
isn't that the thing that we all fear, though?
The unknown. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, very much is. As he's like adjusting to the reality of the situation, that Carlot's the kidnapper, I guess you could say, she's there to, I guess we could say, provide some insight. Let him know that the Gurkish are coming. Why? I mean, I guess she feels like she owes him, even though Glockta saved her life, but not in the nicest way. How about that, right?
Well, you can say that, but also from the practical perspective, she knows that the Gurkish are worse than the Union. So this is her way of making sure that they don't get what they want.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in her eyes for sure the Gurkish are definitely worse than the Union because the Union she can still like do what she wants for the most part, whereas she can work her way around the Union. But the Gurkish, it's an unknown. She doesn't know what to do, so she's gonna decide with the side she knows.
Right, and she obviously, like she said, she still has business contacts and opportunities that she's trying to take advantage of in Adjua.
Yeah,
and of course she always wants some old-fashioned revenge.
Yeah, well, she just wanted to like.
I think she wanted to assert power,
to make him feel like she made her feel.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah, exactly. And what I did like near the end is when she says, "And if you get any funny ideas, about trying to make me disappear or body floating by the docks, I have a letter signed and sealed that will be delivered to Archlector Salt, telling him all about your little stuff in Dagaska." And he goes, "And what happens if you just die completely accidentally, really?" She goes, "Well, I guess it'll get sent anyway. Woohoo."
I love how Glock's just like, oh, okay.
He's like, yeah.
I also like this pressure that it instills on Glockta. Like we kind of got out of the Dagaska like spiraling like there's this factor and this factor and these people he's got to work around. And now we're the point where Glockta's being pushed around a character who's very active and wants to do things and wants to like make a difference. Not positively, but he wants to be in charge and do things. and now he's being pushed down. Yeah, he got rid of Morovia, or he got rid of part of Morovia's issue, which was Morrow. And it's funny that he kills him too, seeing as Salt was like, "Don't kill him." um, he kills him, and then immediately another problem pops up that's even worse than the previous one. Like he can't catch a break.
Yeah,
Blotzer absolutely cannot catch a break ever.
nope, no, he can't.
But you know what? He knew what he signed up for. Was him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
That's true. Very true. Very true. And then she asks him a little bit like, "Oh, who's gonna be the next, king of the union?" And he's like, "I don't know." She's like, "Oh, okay. Well, off you go then." And then black bagged, and then that's the end of the chapter. So, what do you guys think of that chapter?
I'm gonna give that one a 7.
That's
I
7.
really, really love the interaction between Blotzer and Morrow. In it's
You
very
do like
11.
that one.
It's mafia. It's a mafia gang kind of film, and it's very. And again, Joe's influence from films is just incredible. Like you could absolutely see this scene taking place as just on its own, as a short film on its own is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You could just do this chapter as a short film,
Okay.
and it would be wonderful. So yeah, 7 out of 10.
7
out of
out of
9.
9. 7 out of 9. Okay. Harrison.
I think I'm gonna say 5 out of 9.
Okay.
I think that it is like I really like the Cartlet and Ida stuff, but also the Cartlet and Ida stuff is like it's more just about Glock on a personal level than it is like moving the story along really. But it's still a good interaction. And same thing with the Morrow stuff. It doesn't really move the plot forward. I feel like both the interactions have a duality to them. One, he's completely in control. The other one, he's out of control. And like you said, George, it sets up as a film really good. But I always like read these two chapters and I always forget about them. I feel like they're very forgettable, even though they're very well written. I think it may also because there's some less Argument of Kings and there's so many like grandiose chapters. But I just don't enjoy it as much. I read the Morrow chapter, even the beginning. I kind of predicted what was going to happen, and then the Carla Denida stuff. Knowing what I know, it seems I don't want to spoil anything, but it seems less impactful, especially on other read throughs. So
Mhm.
I think it's a 5 because it's well written and everything, but I just don't enjoy them as much. Even though the line that he says here, which is one of my favorite lines that he has. Oh yeah, you know these things will eat anything, even cripples. That line is hilarious, but I just think it's a pretty average.
That's exactly what I mean. You can imagine him turning to the camera and a dramatic note plays.
Even cripples.
No.
Jeff?
I honestly I agree with you, Harrison. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 9. I enjoy the chapter. I do. It's short. Not too much happens with the plot. There are some advancements. Like for the first part with Morrow, Glockta has removed I don't want to say a chess piece, but an antagonist that has been uh, in his way throughout this whole like wheeling and dealing with the election process. And then with Carla Dan Eider, it was like more inner, like another inner. I'm having a brain fart. Give me a second. An internal worry that just is now got to develop. On top of everything else, he's worried about Valent and Balk and who killed the Prince Reynald and all that. Just so short. I enjoyed it, but like didn't drive the plot too much forward. But enough to not get a lower score.
Stingy bastards. Both of them.
Yeah, George, I like what you said. I think you're right. I just don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy the chapter.
I enjoy it. I remember it. No, it's not forgettable for me, like what Harrison said for him. But I'm just saying, uh, you know, I like other chapters more. I don't know what to say. It's all
Okay,
right.
okay. Well, let's move on then. Let's go to Morrow.
Yeah, let's go to our character spot, which you just gave it away. All right, yeah. A character spot, obviously,
Yeah.
is Harlan Morrow. Take it away.
I mean, we meet the guy first in Blade itself. I think when he's introducing Baez and the company to somebody, and he also has an appearance in some of the court scenes. I think.
Yeah, earlier, before even Baez, when it's like Yoru Sulfur or that good man Heath, or
Yeah,
with
and it's your typical little kind of yes man sort of
hmm
bureaucrat.
Weasel.
Weasel is a good word.
hmm So tell us about him. Tell us about him.
Well, he just weasels his way out of everything, doesn't he? He just kind of works his way, and I get a lot of the personality from Stephen Pacey's sort of narration of him,
Yeah, he is a
Okay.
lot of character from that.
because otherwise we've got like what
4 scenes.
10 lines, 16 lines, something like that.
Oh, you're talking about in total from the blade itself?
Yeah, no, in total,
Yeah.
total, including this chapter.
Yeah, it's not a lot of lines. Yeah. No.
But on behalf of Holland Morrow, I like that he's like a normal dude. Like he's like a little
Yeah.
Clark. And he like worked his way up. And in terms of like basic like right hand man thuggery stuff, like he's actually pretty good. He counters him and Morovia counter Salt despite not having the
Yeah.
entire power of the Inquisition behind them. Pretty effectively. And they seem to be on par with them, despite it only being 2 of them. And Morrow seems to be like a little bookworm. He's well read. He just isn't. He seems to be like somebody who grew up in a library and unfortunately didn't get out enough to handle people and deal with tough situations. So whenever push came to shove with somebody of like legitimate intelligence, he was not up to bat. He was used to pushing around the nobility. He was used to pushing around little people, which made him feel powerful, which made him get better at it, but only better at the little people and not actually handling political or tough opponents. So I kind of respect him for working his way up, and I understand his little arc, and I like that it's there. But
I think you're absolutely right, Harrison. That's absolutely incredible way of putting it. He is just like the common guy that has risen up through the ranks through, and I like this phrase "failing upward" because the Union seems like a kind of place where you can just fail upward.
yeah, if you know the right
You can
person.
just kind of fuck up completely, but as long as you've got the right personality for your boss, then you just
Yeah.
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Much
Jeffrey?
like modern society.
I like how you described it, Harrison. I mean, like he does come off as weaselly, right? But what I do like, there is like weird growth here, right? From the first
Yeah.
book, he was a nervous wreck. Like Hoff was riding that dude hard.
I love how he references that as well. He's like, you should have gone back to kissing Hoff's
Yeah,
old ass cheeks.
yeah. Because like you have instances of like, he apparently this guy's from the Order of the Magi, right? and then now you have this guy who is like trying to come off as like calm, cool, confident. I work in the shadows, baby. Yeah.
He's definitely been practicing that speech in front of a mirror.
Yeah. And he's like probably running it over with those thugs too, like those 2 guys. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
Harry,
What if you
Bob,
do this?
Harry.
I'm gonna say this, and he's gonna go, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, like, yeah. So,
Yeah, Hollow Morrow, go get fucked.
Good character. Get fucked.
get wrecked, fool.
Know your place, peasant.
I one last note. I do like how this character is like one of the first characters that we see earlier on, or just a character that we see that progresses, has his own little arc in the book in the background, and we kind of get to see results of that, whether that be a poor or a good ending. I like that.
Oh
It's like this first one, really.
Good for us, bad for him. So let's move on to our final chapter read through, which is A Ragged Multitude. Now, here we start off from Giselle's perspective. He's at his command post because he's already out there waiting the field, and he's here to parley with with the leaders of this peasant rebellion. The one of them we know, one of them is going to be the Tanner. We've been hearing about the Tanner for some time now, and
Giselle just sat up on this hill, just looking down on this. What he sees is just this enormous multitude of people, and he's like, "Oh my god! I've never seen that so many people in one place. Like,
Yeah.
how many people is that? Like 10, 20,
There's
maybe
a lot of
even 50?"
it's 40,000.
It's a lot of people. And Giselle's like, okay.
His mind is just absolutely blown. The poor bastard.
Mhm.
The poor bastard.
And
I
like go ahead, Harrison, what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead, Jeff. I was gonna say something I can add on later. So go ahead.
I was just gonna talk about how Giselle's nervous and kind like he's out of sorts here. This is not his forte. This major Opker. What was that, George?
Opka.
Opka. This major Opker asked him, "Hey, how do you want the troops to be deployed and everything?" And he's like,
Deployed.
Deployed. He's like, I heard someone say infantry in double line, maybe.
I love how this whole time he's just thinking, I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Right. He's like, and he goes, like behind these bushes here, and then Baez cuts, and he's like, oh, the colonel means in front of these bushes, of course, right? And then he actually starts giving out all like the deployments of the battle lines, and then he's like, excellent plan, Colonel Luthar, excellent plan, and then the major's like, aha, right.
Yeah, just pretend like you didn't see it. It's fine.
I think that this scene right here, I think it's hilarious to have Giselle there, like the way he interacts. It's very Giselle like. He kind of gets carried through it because Baez is there, but I think this scene amplifies and gets amplified by a certain similar scene much later on in the books. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the parallel to this character and another in a similar situation, and how they both handle their own respective issues is like phenomenal. And so every single time I read this scene after a certain other scene, I'm like, holy shit, this is so good. Like, I just think it sets it up excellently.
Harrison, you're
For
absolutely
the
right.
future.
I think this scene is just. We all think when we read sort of novels and books and fantasy that when a character goes away and has an adventure, they come back and they're sort of just competent in everything.
Yeah.
Oh, now suddenly you can lead troops and do this and do that, and everybody knows how to give a grandiose speech and do all this. And Giselle's just like, yeah, I went away and got my head bashed in and recovered my like nothing and did something and came back and shagged a girl and now shit.
Deployed in double line.
Yeah. It's like me playing Total War.
That is so funny.
That's what I mean. Joe just writes such good fucking characters that I can't stop reading.
Yeah,
They get better even the more and more you read.
Yeah, it's true. And and also they noticed that like three people have separated themselves from the mass of peasants, and they're making their way up to to the command post with the flag of parley up above them. And Baez seems to be very huh
Nothing.
okay. Baez seems to be very confident. I mean that there's not gonna be any battle, but it's all good. Don't worry about it. And so time jump a little bit, and I guess they're in the tent, right? And he sees the tanner, and he's like, there is absolutely nothing remarkable about this guy. He looks like very normal, but people are just following his every word. And he has two generals with him, Goodman Hood and Cotter Holst.
That's Goodman to you.
What?
Goodman, not good man.
Goodman Hood. Sorry.
That's important. It's important. There's a
Okay.
distinct difference.
Okay, all right, sure. In Britland. Okay. Anyway.
Britland. Hey, is that better than Disneyland?
I bet it is. That has better food.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay. Goodman Hood. Also, I just want to be clear because I think I mentioned the guy's name before. That one guy that West met after a Hoff court session in the first book. That was Goodman Heath, right? Not Hood.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Not
So
the
That
same
would be
guy.
kind of awesome though if it
that
was.
would have been
It
that would
would
have been
be.
a cool little like full circle thing. But yeah, okay. So uh Giselle introduces himself, uh, which catch and he's caught off guard when the Tanner's like, "Yeah, I saw you fight at the contest. Fantastic swordsman, great job." And he's like,
So awkward.
"Okay, so thank you. Uh, this is Major Upker, and this is Baez, the first of the Magi." And so they get down to brass tacks, and basically Giselle just gives him the terms sent by the close council, and Goodman Hood reads it first. And apparently, these aren't the best terms.
Yeah.
Apparently,
The twist and the brows furrow.
yeah, apparently these terms are even worse than the ones they received before, which is funny.
But Goodman Heath just the
Hood,
Tanner does not seem perturbed at all.
nope. The Tanner just accept these terms and says it's totally fine. And
I'm sorry, the way you guys are both. You guys are being hilarious right now.
I hope you appreciate it. Then that's good to know.
Keep going.
Tanner's just like, I'm totally cool with this. This is great. No big deal. No, fine. And Goodman Hood is like, what the fuck?
And this whole time, Giselle is just sat there like, what the fuck is going
What's
on?
going
He's like, well, that was easy.
Yeah, because Goodman Hood's like, this is bullshit. You promised us this, freedom for every man, land for every man. And the Tanner's like, these terms will do. They follow me, not you. So, excuse you. And then Goodman Hood is like, fuck this. This is bullshit. And Cotter Holst, the other guy, he's just looking at his fingernails. He doesn't care either. Okay. And Goodman Hood leaves. And then Giselle hears Baez tell the major, like he whispers, like hand, in front of the mouth and everything. He's like, make sure that guy gets arrested. Don't let him get back to, those people. And he's like, but under flag of parley? He's like, yeah, get his ass arrested and place him
Wow,
in the mire.
literally 1984.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Tanner basically apologizes for his associate, and he just says, these terms should be totally fine. Yeah, we're happy, and everyone will go back home and they'll be happy. Just maybe some few might continue to cause some trouble, but at the end of it all, we should be good. And then Giselle, again, like you said, Harrison, he's just like, what the fuck? And then
Well,
that's
we
it.
actually get that Giselle notices that the
Oh
Tanner
yes,
has
yeah. We do.
different
Yeah.
coloured eyes, one blue and one green. And now, can you think of any other character that has been described like that?
With the
Nope.
mop of curly.
Let me think.
Nope. I haven't thought of
idea.
anybody. There's no one there.
idea.
But I do like that Giselle's I love how Giselle's lack of like wisdom in his ignorance and naivete is always used for the plot in such an interesting way, in the same way that like Pharaoh's like uninterest in other going ons, like how that's used in the plot, and that's used really well here. I think it's
Every
very
character has
unique.
their own sort of like tunnel vision.
Yes, they all have their own way of viewing things, and I love how certain things fly over other characters' heads. And certain people like Glock to question everything, but like it's so good to have like the difference in the characters like this, because it's not just the way the characters are portrayed to the audience, or sorry, not just the way the characters act to other people, but it's the way they're portrayed to the audience, and we see them portrayed differently. We know that certain characters react differently here, and that's all part of the plot. And I think that's brilliant.
No, it's great. Like this is another short chapter, right? Because did we finish the chapter? Did we say that
No.
the Tanner leaves? Sorry, the Tanner leaves after saying, he says, "Never any peace, Colonel Luthar." Wink, wink. And he exchanged a long glance with Baez. Okay. And then Baez just tells Giselle after they're alone. He says, "If anyone should ask, it was a difficult negotiation, but you held your own and you got them to basically give up. All right, just if anyone should ask." And Giselle,
Giselle just puts up the weakest of protests.
he's like,
And it's
"What?"
like, well, but Baez is just like, if anybody should ask.
And that was it. And that literally is the end of the chapter, with Giselle's bewilderment at what just transpired. So, how would you guys rate this chapter?
Again, I'm going to give this one a 7 again.
My boy. My boy with the consistency. Okay.
Well, what the fuck were you expecting from it? The first time I read this, I was like, oh, well, this is going to be a real problem for Giselle, and he's going to have to solve it. And he's going to put all these skills that he's learned from his travels into some kind of, plan so that he can sort out the problems, save the day. And it's just like, nope, none of that's going to happen. No, he's just
Good
clueless,
point, good point.
and some old guy comes along and just solves the problem for him.
Yeah. Okay. I like
Which
that.
is
Good
just
point, good
life.
point.
It's just life, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it is.
Jeffrey?
I'll give this a 6 out of 9. Okay, because
Okay. Sounds good.
okay, okay, yeah, that's it. Bye. All right, no. Again, basically what George was saying is like you get this if you're a first time reader, you get this initial build up of like, okay, Giselle's gonna be put to the test, yeah, and then it's just like, wah, wah. It's like okay, I guess not, and it's just hilarious the whole way through. It's to me, it's the comedic element of this that really lifts the chapter up for me. With Baez having to correctly deploy the troops, with the Tanner just confusing Giselle with his like, yeah, I saw you fence, you're fantastic, yeah, no, these terms are great, no big deal, no big deal, and then Baez praising Giselle even though Giselle did nothing. Yeah, he's gotta love it. He's gotta love it. Our man is failing upwards.
Failing upwards is the phrase of the day.
Yes, it is. Go ahead, Harrison. What'd you score it?
It's kind of difficult for me because the chapter is a shorter one, and on a first read through, you feel like Giselle, like you're like, what the fuck is going on? You feel ignorant and stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, there's something you're questioning things, but you're not gonna get an answer to any of your questions, and you have some ideas, but you're trying to remember from the other books, and you're trying to remember what was the thing, and then it's moving along, and then it's done, and I think that's done really, really well. It's done really well to set up the story. I really love the beginning segment for how it plays out similarly way later on. But again, on a second read through though, or every read through after, you almost feel like, okay, I know what's going to happen. So it's definitely one of those things. I love seeing Giselle not actually truly being tested yet. And I love that because whenever the story goes a certain way, it's very fulfilling. But at the same time, I think I'm going to give this a 6 and a knuckle. Right in the middle.
6 and knuckle. Get it?
And again, we love all these chapters, and just because they're rated lower than you might like, then
tell us
yeah.
your ratings.
I think we've established that. No, it's all good.
I'm just saying that because you guys disappoint me.
Oh, damn.
Really?
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man. All right. Anyway, so right here, I guess we'll take a little pause. There's no community interaction segment, but you do want to bring something up, right?
Yeah, just say community interaction. This is why we left it as a community interaction segment. That way we could fill in other things if we wanted.
Okay, gotcha.
What do you want to talk about?
The thing he brought.
We're gonna transition into it, Georgie.
Okay. Alrighty. So now we'll go ahead and transition to our next and final segment, which is our community interaction segment. Harrison, want to take it away? This?
Yes. There was a Reddit user. I don't know how to say his name. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was homeschooled. Somebody get on Reddit and tell me how to say his name. God damn it! You probably know, George. It's something Tiger 69420, which is an extreme. Wait, is he a bot?
I don't know.
What
That
you say
sounds
is
like a randomly generated Reddit name. It's fine.
I don't know. Anyways, Gao maybe Gao with an X Tiger 69420 hosted on the First Law Reddit a day ago as of today. He says, "Are there any POVs you don't like? My closest example would be in the Age of Madness trilogy with Vic. Did you know she grew up in the camps? While her chapters and ending are pretty great, did you know she grew up in the camps? Such a shame that she grew up in the camps because her story of going undercover, being torn, but staying loyal, and her ending were all great to me, even though she grew up in the camps. Are there any other POVs you didn't really care for? By the way, Vic grew up in the camps."
You're right. He is right about Vic. He's definitely right about Vic. He's definitely one note in. Yeah, no, I was in the camps, and by the way, did you know I was in the camps? And oh yeah, no, I knew that I was in the camps, and it was just it's over and over and over, and it's just like yeah, okay.
What do you
At the
think?
same
Jeff?
time, Vic is still a really good character, so I can't really say that I hate her.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's broad, but okay.
There is Broad in
Yeah.
here. Broad is in here at the top. He's voted as the top one. Is I think Broad Dan underscore MC Dan. Oh, sorry, Dan underscore MC underscore 16 says, "I think Broad was always the hardest one to read. I just found him so boring. I think he would have been significantly more interesting character if he wasn't a POV, and instead we just saw him through others, watching him first take Savine in, and then go from being Savine's enforcer to then working with the Great Change and being a close aide to Judge. The fighting Judge at the end would be fascinating if we had no clue his thoughts or emotions of any of it."
See,
We have
I really like that kind of progression of the character, but that isn't the way Joe works.
yeah.
This is it's not meant to be satisfying. This is what people forget when they read the new trilogy and they're expecting everything to be like neat and perfect. When you first read the first trilogy, you got to the end of it and you were like, "Holy shit, where's the end of this?" It's like
Yeah.
I'm missing something here.
Yeah.
That's the way he writes his character. So the
Yeah.
way that he writes Brawl for me, even though it is a little, and Vic as well, just because they're a little bit repetitive, doesn't mean that he's missed his mark in what he was trying to do with it.
I mean, I just did not care for Broad.
I love him. I think he's fantastic, especially with the audiobook. Jeff,
Yeah.
I know you haven't listened to the Age of Madness audiobook.
No, I have not.
Yeah. He's a little better in the argument. So
And I'm going to confess something to you guys. I've never actually read the Age of Madness.
You just listen to it.
I've only listened to the audiobook. Yeah.
You goddamn Gen Z.
I know, we're
Oh my
scum.
We'll
god.
get there, Jeff. We'll get there in like a year.
So there's quite a few interesting thoughts on here. I think there's a good point on Vic. Yeah, that is I mean, definitely she's got some repetitiveness, but like you said, she is also like a really good character. Broad is definitely up there. A lot of people said, some people were saying, yeah, this is kind of, I understand him because like my dad was kind of like this, and other people said, well, it's just would be nice to have an arc rather than no arc at all because we're expecting something, which is also a good point. Like it's not very fun to read a character that doesn't do much at all. But it's back and forth. There's good debate on there. I definitely recommend going to go through and look at it.
Absolutely will argue Broad's case to the end of time, right? He's just doing the best that he can. That is literally all he can. It's all he can do is what he's doing. Because
Yeah,
he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know literally
It's not. I mean,
you can do.
and
Oh my
wisdom,
God.
and
Hey,
wisdom of crowds. Don't
Jeff-
I think he could have done a little bit better than pipe Judge for like months on end. So
Jeff, we met the
Ignoring
first.
wisdom of crowds.
huh?
Ignoring wisdom of crowds.
Ignoring. Yeah, sure, okay. What were you saying, Harrison?
I was gonna say, Jeff, we met the first Broad apologist.
I know. I can't believe it.
But-
And he's a co-host. Fuck.
But George, I like what you're saying. I think you have a lot of thoughts there, and I'm really curious to see if if we change Jeff's mind or have a different point of view when we get to the Age of Madness. Jeff, you got to be open-minded. I know you're about to say, no, I won't. I know you're about to say it.
Mine is like an open wound.
How about we let George just do like YouTube videos on why Gunnar Broad is apparently a
We should.
good
Yeah, you should do
character
that.
or
You should
something.
record some stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead. Keep it
Um,
over there.
there
Like,
was
guys,
there were
you know I
some,
like to play the devil's advocate, right?
I know, man. I know.
but there
Well,
are some more interesting thoughts on here. I think
Go on.
there is. Somebody said Temple was super annoying, but I got used to it, and the Poisoner was funny for a bit, but his whining got old.
I think Temple is a really interesting example of a character that is meant to be annoying
Yeah.
in the beginning, and then he gets less annoying and more relatable over time.
okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't dislike his POV though. You know, I didn't. I liked he was like a different take on a mercenary, one that's like having a sudden crisis of conscience, right? But he's still a coward at its core.
But isn't that the most dislikable person? Like, you can kind of root for a bad guy that doesn't know what he's doing, or a bad guy that knows that he's doing bad. But a guy who sits there and just lets bad things happen because he can't really be bothered to sort it.
Well, but that's the progression of any kind of character that is, has the quality of, being a coward or anything like that, So like there's gonna like at the end, like even Temple, he's not gonna turn into somebody that's gonna be, he's gonna win fights in the circle necessarily, but
No,
he
no.
he does know how to use whatever talents and assets he has to
Always
stand
got
up
gut, eh?
to stand up for himself and to stand up for the people that he cares about.
Absolutely.
So
And then
And you know
there
what? I think
is.
I had the best experience when I was listening to the Red Country audiobook because I was on a coach, like a cross country coach, for 7.5 hours, and I fell asleep listening to the bit when they were on the plane,
hmm
and it's mostly Temple's POV and then like the little people chapters mixed in,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good point.
and I kind of absorbed it when I was like napping and listening to fucking
Yeah.
British people chat on the bus. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there's a couple other interesting ones in here. Where's this one at? Somebody said Clover, which to
I
be
love
honest for
Clover.
me,
Fuck
I know
anybody that thinks otherwise.
I don't like Clover's POV as much.
Fuck
And to be
you, Harrison.
I don't like his POV as much because, to be honest, this is what this person said. I mean, he says, sure, there's a war for the future of the North between Witch Long Eye and Black Calder, but you have to choose a winning side. Remember, if you picked up a sword, you fucked up. Also, there's bias being biased, but you got to remember, if you picked up a sword to fight, you fucked up. And while Vic is being repetitive, here's the difference. Vic fucking changed from I live in the camps and picking winners to someone who tries to be different. She shows loyalty, friendship, caring, and going against her instincts. And then there's fucking Clover.
And then there's fucking Clover.
So
Nah, Clover's practical. Clover is doing again the best that he can from what
yeah.
his perspective.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I don't think anybody
And
on
yeah,
here is
he
saying
is a
that they don't
coward.
think the characters are well written. Some of them might be saying that. Some of them might mean I don't like this character at all.
Oh god,
But
no,
at least
nobody
for
who
me,
cares enough to leave a comment on Reddit thinks that these characters are badly written.
yeah, it's just the fact that I can relate to the fact that Clover by Wisdom of Crowds. I was like, dude, are you gonna like do something, or are you just gonna be like? And I like the fact that he is like caught in the middle. I like that, and like that how he's like, oh my god, I gotta stop doing this. I like that there's that change, but like he doesn't even do anything with that change by the end, which is frustrating.
And you
Um,
forgive Clover for stabbing Wonderful.
yeah, I don't really. I'm fine with it. I would have done it.
I would have stabbed. I still hold a grudge against Wonderful. So yeah, go
I
ahead.
would have
Yeah.
gone. I
Stab
would have gone
away,
for
baby.
Star. I would have gone for Star. Go on.
That would have been pretty epic too, but that would have killed
I'm
the
not
story.
being edgy. I would rather do that. I'd rather die.
You'd rather
We
die than what?
Rather die than kill a friend.
Oh,
no.
because right, they're supposedly friends. I completely forgot that they were friends. I thought that she was just
Yeah, no, he genuinely felt affection for her, and then he completely just cut that off the second he realized he had to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
If that's bravery in a bad way.
Yeah, but we'll get to more of that when the time comes.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk
Um,
about so much more. You guys are just getting started. We've just been kind of like edging this whole time.
There's um
Ooh.
there's two more that I want to mention here. I think here. Um, somebody mentioned Pharaoh. I kind of get that. Somebody also said that where is he at? Somebody said Gorst.
Go, go,
Actually,
go,
a couple
go,
people said Gorst.
go.
A couple people said Gorst. Because of how he is
Oh,
in the
no,
heroes.
what the fuck? Who said that? Who said
Now,
Gorse?
hang on. This guy is coming from the point of view of like I think he felt like annoyed and a little disturbed by him, and I can understand that. Like the way he like is, like the fact that he is not what he says he is. But I always lose that feeling by the end because of how Finnery rebuttals him, which is what somebody said in response. Like this is part of the story, which I think is fine. I don't think the guy should have been downvoted for saying, "Hey, this is my." Somebody asked for his opinion. He gave his opinion. People downvoted him.
That's
I don't know.
fine, but I think at the point, if you've got to the heroes in this series and you don't realize that this is satire, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can
And
again.
I'm quite willing to slander this random Reddit comment.
You can be annoyed by a POV in a story and still enjoy the character and stuff. You know, I can't. I mean, it makes sense to me, to a certain degree. Now, the one that doesn't make sense to me because everyone has their their reasons, right? Like, oh, like they all explain it. Like Gorse is kind of vile, and I don't like how vile he is. Like it's frustrating, like it's annoying. Okay, he is pretty vile. I get that. Somebody else said, Broad is repetitive, Vic is repetitive. Clover is repetitive. They say those kinds of things about them, whether they're true or not. But somebody did say, where is it? Where is it?
Oh, I think I know who you're gonna say.
Oh yeah. Serpent of Talons is going to be upset too because
Yeah.
said, oh yeah, here he is. He says Mercado for me. I know I'm swimming against the tide on the sub. On this view, I found BSC the weakest book by distance, and her a very unsympathetic character. For me, what makes the first trilogy stand above the rest of the books in the world is the self-awareness of the characters, making them more sympathetic and fun to read. By contrast, the lack of self-awareness, such as Leo being a great baddie, easy to hate character despite his actions.
Oh god.
The point that he's making here, if
You've
you allow
missed
me,
the point
gentlemen.
completely.
No. I don't think he's missing the point. I think he's missing something, which this isn't. I see what you're trying to say, but your point.
No, he is completely missing the point of Monza's
George,
character. Absolutely.
I know,
Calm down, George. Calm down. Let Harrison make his point. Go ahead.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I think his main point was the fact that the characters in the original trilogy are self-aware. They are not self-aware. The OG crew are not self-aware. Giselle is very unself-aware until like way later. Pharaoh is terribly unself-aware. Logan refuses to be self-aware. Glockta is self-aware, sure, and um, Dogman is pretty self-aware. But West is not self-aware until the end either. Most of the characters are not self-aware. So if your point is, sir, that the character that Monza isn't very good because she's this whole trend of them just not knowing how bad they are, that is always Joe's like trend. That's always what he is going for. Is a lot of characters don't know who they are or they choose to ignore who they are. I don't think that dictates how sympathetic or unsympathetic they are. If you don't like Monta's character, that's cool, but it's not because of self-awareness, I don't think.
Well, you know what? We've got to save all of this for best of cold, haven't we?
No, you're right.
Right. Just I guess you don't need to go too into detail, but is there anything that you would like to say about how this guy missed the point?
The fact that she never thinks about after they get, dumped.
Mm-hmm.
She never thinks properly about her relationship with her family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she ignores it because she
Because-
sees it as a weakness.
Exactly. Because she's just trying to get some revenge, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's her entire personality. And that is literally the title of the book. It's best served cold. It is a revenge book.
Yeah.
And that is her entire character is just revenge.
and
terror.
learning that she needs to chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
But I think Jeff, if you want to say anything about the poll, not
I
poll,
mean,
it's not a poll. But
No, I didn't really see this post until you brought it up to me like about an hour ago. So, I don't really. I mean, look, I stand firm. Broad, fuck him. That POV sucked. Sorry, just don't like it. Um, what else was another POV that I didn't like? Pharaoh's POV in the blade itself. It seemed like very. I think Joe was still finding his footing on how to write the POV of a female character. But before they're hanged, I like their POV. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry, broad. Rick infuriated me a couple of times with the whole, don't I have, visions? Like, bitch, if we're in your head, we're supposed to know. Fuck. We already talked about that like a couple episodes ago about the whole Rick thing. So, not even gonna get into all that. But other than that, I mean, that's it. Got nothing else to add to this.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think that was a good discussion, gentlemen. That's all I have. Thank you for posting that user on Reddit. And if anybody ever has questions about like lore or anything like that, definitely reach out to us on Reddit or any other place that you want to have questions about lore or character wise or just want to talk.
Sounds good. Sounds good. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you all know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next time as we cover Beloved of the Moon and Flowers and Plodises.
Make sure you follow us on all of our social media and send us a message with any questions or anything you might have.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast as it helps spread our reach. Thank you all again for listening.
Our magical friends are back in town.